Greetings, fellow seekers of truth, and welcome to another Hearthstone video where we talk about Hearthstone. You might also notice, wow, video quality looks a bit better, but the FPS are going down. Anyways, now that we look pretty, let's complain about cards that are still nerfed despite them being pretty terrible. And boy, we got a list of a lot, like 15 or so cards. Now, before we start looking at Keeper of the Groove and being like, wow, this card is just terrible, this card should be like 2 mana, or have like 4/4 in stats, there is one thing I gotta say. In like 6 days or so, this year is over, and we're getting closer to 69,420 subs. That's the one goal I would like to hit in this year, in the last couple of days. So yeah, the whole please like sub thingy. I already have that much dust, so I would like to have that many subs as well. And then we can say, haha, double funny number. But let's get back to Keeper of the Groove. So this card got originally nerfed because silence is too strong. And then I gotta ask a question here. So we have this one class called Demon Hunter, I think, where there's this one card in there that has the ability to just ignore taunt, which then gets me to think, yeah, but isn't that basically silence? Like, what happens when you silence a taunt minion? It loses taunt. What happens when you play Kayn? It loses taunt. So why not just revert the guy? It used to be a 4-mana 2/4, which I think even nowadays wouldn't see any play. And maybe even give it a buff, make it like a 3/4, maybe a 4/4. Might be too much to ask, but the card just... Has anybody played that in the past 5 years since it got nerfed? I guess the choose one effects are just too good. Like Ancient of Law. This card used to have the effect as a 7-mana 5/5 to draw you 2 cards when you picked that option. Then it got nerfed because it was too consistent in Druid when you played the Force of Nature Savage Draw OTK back then. Turns out though, there are like a bunch of 5-mana cost cards that just have the effect draw a card. For example, Big Ol' Whelp. Good chonker. I love the card. How's Ancient of Law not even associated to any tribe? It could be like a leaf monster or anything. The heal effect is worth pretty much nothing. That's 1 mana maximum on a 5/5 that has no tribe with like 7 mana. I just don't get it. Make the card 5 mana. Actually, just make it 5 mana. Maybe somebody plays it. Probably not. But I would actually say at 5 mana, the card would be fine. And if the card would be unnerfed to be a 7 mana draw 2, that doesn't do anything. Like Demon Hunter draws 4 cards for 3 mana. So I don't want to hate on Demon Hunter too much, but if you make a new class that does everything better than all the other classes, why not at least unnerf some stuff to make it a bit more equal? Do you guys know one of the worst legendaries ever made? Hammered Nestingberry. It's a 5-mana 6/3 Destroy Beast. The card was always bad. Always. It has never been good. I will probably craft that in golden just because why not? But there's another guy with a rifle. And the guy is called BGH, Big Game Hunter. This card used to see so much play like 5 years ago when Dr. Boom was a good card. Your opponent plays Dr. Boom, you play BGH for 3 mana back then, and you answer their giant minion. If Shadowwood Death got buffed from 3 mana to 2, we get Shadowwood Mass Destruction and all the other bot clear effects, Plague of Flames for 1 mana. How is BGH still 5? Like in most cases, unless you play like standard against an Edwin that your rogue opponent summons as a 12/12 on turn 1, BGH wouldn't have a target anyways. It's not like everybody's just playing giant minions now because they're so much fun and BGH would be broken. No. Most of the times it would be a 3-mana 4/2, do nothing. So why not at least make the card a little bit cheaper for the potential that you can play more during the turn where you play the card? Because has a single person played that card? No. Like, I watch Standard, I play Wild, yeah, nobody plays BGH. He even has a great voice line. He's like, I got the beast on my side. He must have 20/20 vision, like I have with my contact lenses. Then we got Arcane Golem. This card used to be a 3-mana 4/2 that had charge, and you played that in like Face Hunter, where you just played hyper-aggressive, back when you had like Leper Gnomes and Abusive Sergeants that were 1-mana 2/1s that had the exact same effect. This guy was better than Wolf Rider. Wolf Rider, the 3/1 that has charge and goes face, is fine, but he could have +1 damage. You use that card to just win and deal damage, charge, go face. But now it's a 3-mana 4/4. It doesn't do anything. It gives your opponent a mana crystal. Like, why would anybody play that? That's like playing the 3/5 in Warlock that destroys your mana crystal. If you play that on curve, that's terrible. Even if you had those cards in hand, you wouldn't play them. They would just count as a dead card in your hand. You just wouldn't play them. I would say it's safe to say, with Demon Hunter being pretty aggressive, dealing like 400 damage as an OTK with Elganath, you could maybe give Hunter a card back that has charge. Like, is charge that bad? Actually, that's not a good question. Charge is that bad. Next is charge. This card used to be a 3-mana spell that gave you minion actual charge. Crazy, I know. It gave you minion +2 attack and charge, and it only saw play in one specific niche deck, and that was an OTK Worgen Warrior, where you played the Worgen, used Inner Rage and charge, and then copied that. Went face. Back when Nevils used to stream on Twitch, he got rank 1 legend playing that. So here's my proposal. Either change the name of the card to Rush, Or number 2, just make it the old charge cut. Nobody plays that, ever. The only way you ever play that was in an OTK that I saw by Mark, on which you give a minion charge. As it gets the charge effect, it just can't attack face that turn. Then you use Maeve to make it dormant for a turn, and then you wait 2 turns, and then it technically has charge when it awakens. That's how bad the card is to make it useful. Talking about bad things. Equality. This card used to be 2 mana. You used to play Wild Pyromancer into Equality. 4 mana, clear the entire board. That was fine for mid-range Paladin. Now we have Libram, I don't care how you pronounce those, Libram spells. Those cards are just free. After you play your Libram synergy stuff, those cards cost 0 mana. And they have a better effect. Libram of Justice is a 0 mana version of Equality that only affects enemies. How is Equality still 4 mana? I didn't even understand back then when the card got nerfed, why it got nerfed. Was even Paladin insanely broken? Actually, yeah, at some point I think it was the #1 deck that nobody played. But outside of that specific week in Hearthstone, Equality was always bad at 4 mana. Yeah, I just don't understand some of their decisions. Like making Powerbolt Shear a 0-cost card, but you don't draw a card anymore. Who thought this counts as a buff? On the official Gamepedia page for Hearthstone, where all the stuff is listed, this is considered a buff to the card, because it now costs 0 mana instead of 1 mana. Nobody plays this spell to give a minion health. You play the card to draw a card. And I guess drawing just can't happen anymore. Which is why cards like Old Murkai and Captain's Parrot, which will draw something from your deck, they also got nerfed. I mean, they didn't really get nerfed, but they got nerfed. Let me explain. There used to be 2 secret quests in Hearthstone, so-called hidden quest. You get a free golden version of Captain's Parent and Old Murkai, or a free normal version, if you manage to collect every single pirate or murloc in the basic set. If you own all the basic murlocs and pirates, you get those cards for free, and then those quests were removed, and those cards are put into the Hall of Fame, where they just belong, I guess. It was a fun minigame to collect all the Murlocs and the Pirates, and then you were like, wow, I got cards that I don't play. To be fair, Murkai saw play in every single Murloc deck, but Captain's Parrot was always bad. Captain's Parrot only saw play in one specific deck made by one specific streamer, Ray Noodle, the salty guy that now is making the Bazaar, which gets released in like 2028. Hopefully next year, we will see. And there was this one deck he played with Captain's Parrot, and that was Quest Rogue. The old Caverns Below into Crystal Core Quest Rogue. This got nerfed 4 times. Initially when it came out, I agree it was a little bit broken. You only had to get 4 minions back to your hand to play them again. Summon the same minion 4 times. That was a little bit easy, and you get 5/5 as rewards. But then it got nerfed to summon 5 minions, then you summoned 4 4s, and then it got nerfed 2 more times. It got nerfed in the way that if you play a card like Barnes that summons something from your deck, while you have the Crystal Core thing active, those cards would stay as 1/1, so all the stuff summoned from your deck would be a 1/1. And the second nerf was in form of cards that generate additional minions. Those would also stay with their original stats. So if you play a card like Sonya Shadow Dancer, and you have the Crystal Core active, but you get a card back to your hand and it would be a 1/1, you play the card and it stays a 1/1. Even explaining the nerf sounds weird, so why did that get nerfed like 4 times? I can guarantee you, if you would unnerf that card and even make it summon the same minion 3 times and all the cards get 6/6 in stats, people probably wouldn't play that in Wild. This just seems so bad. I don't fully understand why they made those decisions, but hey, I don't work at Hearthstone, I'm just the person playing the game. So maybe they have some insights that I'm just not aware of. And I would really like to know what those insights are about Fiery War Axe. This card used to be 2 mana. Since that nerf, there were quite a few weapons that were just a lot better for 3 mana than Fiery War Axe. Also, what was quite funny, at the time the card got nerfed, we had this one card in Wild, which already had the exact same stats with an upside. So why exactly was Fiery War Axe nerfed if you had the exact same card available? Pretty much every single weapon made in the past 3 years is just better than Fiery War Axe, period. So if this would be back to 2 mana, I think that would be fine. How long can this go on? Saronite Chain Gang. This card originally got nerfed, so it doesn't summon a copy of this minion, but another Saronite Chain Gang. So if you then play Shadowbox on turn 9, it doesn't summon a copy of Shadowbox, so you have 2 of them and get them back to your hand using Grumble, but instead you just summon a 2/3 taunt minion. So the question is, if Shadowbox is wild only, and you play Doppelgang instead to summon Shadowbox, why not just change the wording on Saronite Chain Gang and just summon a copy of this? Same with Cube Warlock. It's a decent deck still, and there was a card called Possessed Lackey in there. I mean, there's still a card called Possessed Lackey, it's just that nobody plays that. When Cube Lock came out 2 years ago, during the Kobolds and Catacombs era in Standard, that thing was broken. But now 2 years later, I don't think summoning a 6 or 5 cost version of that Lackey would do anything. everybody plays White Collar anyways because it's wild, while having a better stated minion than this thing. So why exactly is that still 6 mana? That could be 5 mana. That could be 4. Okay, 4 might be a little bit good, but 5 mana would be fine. Or at least make it like a 3/3 or 4/4 in stats. Something like that. And to stay in Warlock, there's this card called Fiendish Rites, which can see play in something like a Gaelicon Warlock deck, which, you hear how I pronounce that. Nobody plays Gaelicon Warlock. It's Gaelicon Warlock. That's terrible. This card used to be 3 mana, now it's 4 mana. Just unnerfed it, the card is terrible. Even if it's 2 mana, the card is bad. And lastly, my favorite deck of all time is Gaelicon Shaman. Everybody always asks me if I can play Gaelicon Shaman. And so there's the 6-cost card, which used to be 5 mana instead of 6. You can still unearth that. I don't think anybody plays Gaelicon Shaman anymore, especially in Wild people don't play Gaelicon Shaman. And if this is 5 mana or 6 mana, does it make a big change at 5? Since we have Demon Hunter, I feel like most nerfed cards can just be unnerfed. Since the official launch of Demon Hunter back in April, 30 to 40% of all the cards for that class got nerfed. That is how broken the class is, and it's still broken. So sometimes I'm just wondering why. And because I don't get an answer to that why, it would be pretty cool if we would just have something like a Q&A once a week from somebody in the community. It would take an hour of their time, we can get all our questions answered, and there would actually be trust built between the community and the team. Wouldn't that be cool? Yeah, you know what else would be cool? And they would actually promote their World Championships. I know it has been like 2 weeks by now since the World Championship are over, but did anybody know that happened? There was pretty much no promotion at all. And guess what? We had another event. I think it is actually happening right now for me on day 2. I think it is the final day already. So when you see this, it's over. But there was a Battlegrounds event live on Twitch where you actually got drops. So if you watch for 1 hour, you get a pack for free. Shall we take a look at the official Twitter account? Like the Twitter account run by the Hearthstone company, somebody in there to promote events. Shall we take a look? Wow, who would have guessed? They didn't even make a tweet. So I would like to ask in the nicest way possible, can you just give me the Twitter account to tweet that out? That can't be so hard. Like I would do it for free. It seems like a job of like 3 minutes to promote that across like all their social medias. They tweet it out on Twitter, make an Instagram post or story, sticky post on Reddit. They can just message one of the moderators and post something in their community page on YouTube. It seems so easy because it is so easy and it doesn't happen. So I think if that doesn't even happen and it's the work of half a minute to make a tweet, then yeah, I think all the nerfed cards that I talked about, I think they will stay nerfed. So let's get our hopes really low and prepare for nothing. Most of those nerfed cards, it doesn't matter too much if they stay nerfed or get unnerfed. The decks they stop playing, those decks still work. Outside of like the quest rogue thingy, that doesn't work. Is there a card you would like to see unnerfed outside of the ones that I showed you? Again, I would really like to hit 69 for 20 subs just to make a post about the funny number. Thanks so much for watching. Next video might be just a meme. I had something funny in mind, and take care.